Hi, Stephen. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Becky. Are you saying hi to another Stephen?
Given the group, oh, is he here too?
Well, not yet.
Oh, not yet. I hadn't seen him. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hello.
Hi. Looks like. Oh, where did I?
Great. I'll let Becky get off the phone, and then since we have a quorum, we could get started.
Mhm.
My apologies.
Okay. Okay, it's 4:01. We have a quorum. Hopefully Steve Sullivan will get here at some point, but I'll call this meeting to order. So first item on the agenda is review the minutes from the previous meeting. Assume everybody has gotten those.
I sent him late. I apologize. It's been a busy couple weeks.
Can certainly appreciate that. I guess I have a question. When going through the minutes, I mean, how, Becky, you might be able to answer this, or anybody. How specific in corrections do we want to be? For instance, under the introductions, Jeff Quackenbush says retired 3YO.
Oh, years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That said, Becky, I do, I've been doing that for a bit, so I don't know. I never got corrected. So Becky, is that something we need to be corrected or?
You mean the typo?
well, I
I'm
think
sorry.
what Frank is saying is that he puts YO as years ago. Am I correct?
Yes. How grammatically correct do the meetings have to be?
It varies from committee to committee, so it depends on taste. 3. It does read like 3 yo.
Okay, I'll correct that one.
I mean, just because it's a term from a different generation.
Yep. Okay, I'll take care of that.
Okay, going down that page, several lines under where you have the blue Shutesbury.org buildings. Under myself, SD, it says, as per Rita's question of using outside help for the evaluation, with all the years of experience of the members could figure out, should that be like, we could figure out how to set up?
Yeah, how's that sound to you, Frank?
Say that again.
Where'd you
Putting
see
in
that?
the members. Oh, I don't know if
Maybe-
we works.
With all the years of experience, the members, with all the years, my
Yeah.
mistake. Forget that. All the years of the members. Oh, okay. Yeah, so with all the years of experience of the members could figure out. So maybe it's with all the years of experience, leave out of, could put a comma, and then the members could figure out how to set up.
So with all the years of experience,
Cross out that of.
Yep.
Maybe a comma after experience.
yep. The members can figure out how to set this. Yep, okay. Yeah, that sounds better.
I guess under mine, Frank, did you, the going overview of open issues? Going
Okay.
over the overview? Going overview.
Where is that?
BT right under what you were just working on for Steve Dalmas, as per Rita. It was just the next one down.
Okay, one gift, I just hit the page down button, everyone knows. Yep, okay, I gave a brief overview on how the new BC was created. Yep, okay.
So
The
we're
short
adding
list.
over between going and overview, is that correct?
Becky?
It going overview doesn't work for me, I
Okay.
think. I think it's going over the overview
Going over the,
or just going over open issues. I think you could just
Okay.
give it a view.
Yep.
I think it probably just jumped in there by itself.
It was probably a combination of two sentences I combined.
Oh,
Going over the
issues.
open issues, okay?
perfect. Thank you. We had the summer. How about in the next sentence? I think we can drop the we had. This summer, a specialist. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
Just say this summer a specialist, okay?
Or
Did,
this summer we had a specialist. I think that we had just is in the wrong place. This summer we had a specialist do a building envelope condition and function review of the school.
Yep.
under, again, this is the next Becky Torres comment down about other open issues, where it says gutters, downspouts at the school cleaning. I think maybe add need cleaning.
Okay, hold on a second. Yep.
I have one correction, Frank, just on information.
Yep,
It's on the top of the second page for me, BT waiting on valves.
Yep.
Hopefully, it was, the original quote was 50,000, not 15,
ooh, that's a different, yep, okay,
but we got it down to 12.
below 15.
Yeah. And so, and the Jeff Quackenbush, Gail will look at the whole roofing system. Should wait till we get the National Grid report. That would have been the electrical report. Jeff, do you remember what you meant? Could it have been the building envelope report?
I think
That's a-
that's what I meant, building envelope. I thought that was a green building envelope.
Yeah, so that, it was done separate from National Grid. It was a building envelope company. I don't,
Green,
get
green, the green building envelope company.
yeah.
Get the report yet?
I did. Shoot, and I should have sent it out.
That's gonna change. Should we wait till we get the green building envelope report?
Yep. Because I remember Jeff said, mentioning that that will help Gail once they've got, that's another, more information for them. You know,
Mhm.
another outside looking in is what I remember.
Correct.
So that should go to them.
Yep.
Is that right? Jeff?
How about all of us?
All of us then, yeah.
I meant them as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once we hire them?
Oh, okay. So we can move ahead on hiring.
Well, that would be the first step.
Yeah,
All right, so I won't do it right at the moment.
so the next comment, my comment, what type of roof has the school? Maybe that should be what type of roof does the school have?
Okay.
There was a lot going on in this meeting. Feels like.
And then Jeff, your next comment there, where it says nails are rusting from within, 3-4/12 pitch.
Roof has a 3-4-12 pitch.
What's it? There's
Like
3, 4,
somewhere
12.
between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
3 to 4.
3 to 4? Okay.
3 to 4 and 12. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
12 pitch, 3-4-12 pitch. Okay.
Oh, under, this is Becky Torres' comment, will be a good test. And then the goal is trying to meet once a month to attract, I assume it's attack, this mountain of work.
Yes,
I don't think we have to attract much.
Okay.
It's already been attracted to us.
yep. I heavily rely on spell checker, and if I spelled something wrong correctly, it still doesn't go into line.
Under, we go to the next section where Frank, you have offered to be secretary, and then we do the roll call vote. I'm listed twice.
Is Steve in there? Steve Sullivan?
Yep, he's
Yes,
there.
he's there.
Okay,
That was a copy and paste, so I got that. Yeah.
And then at the very bottom of the page, Becky Torres, Helmy and Quorum 3, and then the last thing is staggering the terms. Stephen Dalmas 1 year, Anna and Jeff 2 years, and then there's nothing.
Oh,
Somebody 3 years.
yeah, it'd be the rest of us with 3 years. I'm sorry, yep. Okay, hold on a second.
so that'll be Frank and Steve Sullivan.
SS and FM 3 years, yep. SS and FM 3 years, yep. And you're right, because I use the copy and paste, I removed you from twice on the roll call
Oh,
at
the
the
next
end,
one.
to end the meeting, yeah, it was a copy and paste thing, so.
You,
And Anna too, I've got to get Anna in there, so I was trying to do alphabetical, I think. So I was
Oh, I
copying.
see Anna's in there twice.
Yeah,
yeah, because that's often how committees like to
Oh,
see it alphabetical.
yeah,
And going back to the previous one where I said I was twice. I don't
yeah,
know.
Anna was twice too, I got that, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments on the minutes?
Good job, Frank. That was a lot to cover.
Yep,
Yes, thank you, Frank. Do I hear a motion to accept the revised minutes?
So moved.
Second?
I second,
I'll
wait, can I second?
Sure.
Sure.
Let's see, roll call vote. Steve Sullivan,
Sullivan, I.
Frank McGinn,
McGinn, aye.
Anna Cook.
Aye.
I don't see Jeff anymore.
Um, he,
No,
Jeff did have that surgery today,
Yeah.
so,
maybe he's,
I mean, yeah, he had the dental work, so
Okay.
he
Stephen
might,
Dallas, aye.
Okay,
I assume you don't vote, Becky, is that correct?
correct.
Okay. Okay, so the second item on the agenda is developing this reporting format for assessing the town buildings. I sent everyone what I consider to be a starting point for discussion. I reviewed my home inspection reporting method, which was a combination of a extensive checklist and a narrative. So for this, here are some of my thoughts. First, keep it as simple as possible. Since there are a limited number of buildings to evaluate, a narrative report may make the most sense. A list of components is to guide us as to what to evaluate. I think we only need to use rating terms that indicate when an action of some sort, for instance, maintenance, repair, replacement, is needed now or in the near future. This allows one to scan the sheets quickly and have an idea of what the building needs are. As the length of a comment may vary, a numbering system, when used at the beginning of each comment, will link the comment to the appropriate item. Now, if you looked at the sheets that I sent, has people been able to look at those?
I know that, that Jeff had trouble opening them.
you have to download the zip file to your desktop. You can't open the zip file and try to open them. I had that problem.
Yeah, same.
How about there was a single sheet that I sent that I filled out.
I was able to open that somehow.
Yeah, I got them all. It was just a little, couple steps. Like
couple
they
steps.
were all readable.
Okay. So, and the first sheet, the one says town building assessment, then it has roofing on it.
Hold on a second.
Yeah,
You look at that.
1.1 under
Yeah.
roofing.
Everybody ready?
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to interject. I
Yeah.
have a bunch of notes that I added, but it was because this was a great launching off point. This was really awesome to start with this. Much
Mm.
easier to add things than to create them to begin with. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, that was the intent that, this would get us started. So if you look at the one that I filled out, that one sheet that has roofing on it. So that would be the first sheet for every building. It lists the building up at the top and the date, and then you see the rating terms. 1 is maintenance or minor repair needed. 2 is major repair or replacement needed. 3 is budget to replace within 5 years, and then not applicable. So then when you go down where I have roofing, material, comments. And then at the far end, I have remaining life, which I've actually already eliminated. I added that because when I look back at some of the notes from the original meeting, Rita was interested in a comment regarding remaining life. Now, number 3 in the rating terms essentially establishes that we're concerned that, within 5 years needs to be replaced. But when you make a comment, there could be more explanation about what the concerns are. But that's already saying this is a potential repair item or replacement item. And I'm thinking that would, answer the need or concern that Rita addressed. So then
I
have,
apologize, Stephen.
No.
What was I missed just because the police were leaving. You
Okay.
said the reason not to have remaining life is because the 5 years would indicate if it's more or less than 5 years.
well, if you look at how I filled out the sheet, so, 1.1 under roofing is the type, and I have a 1. And then off to the side, under 1.1, I have a comment. But then 1.2 flashings, I have a 3. And then if you look at the comment, 1.2, heavy pitting of valley flashings, all locations. That's, I'm saying, I'm using that because I'm thinking those are going to fail sometime within 5 years. But you could add a more specific comment, like this looks critical. These may only have a year or 2. But if you see a 3 in the rating as a rating term, we're concerned about remaining life.
Okay.
I mean, in my opinion, if something's going to last 5 years or more, if that's what we feel, I don't know that we need to be that concerned about it.
I guess I'm just thinking of it as how this would dovetail and impact the capital plan. I mean, like we went way, take the roof as an example. It's 29 years old. I guess the issue is we don't really, will we be putting together the current age of the components in the systems?
That's certainly something that we can add. That could be under comment. I mean, there are going to be certain things like, the roofing, it'd be good to know the age. I don't know, in my reporting, I never identified how old, say, the gutters and how old I thought the gutters and downspouts were. But major things, say heating, cooling components, roofing, water heaters, certain components, types of pipe. I don't know if any of the buildings still have any old galvanized water pipes, but something like that would certainly be questionable as to how much life it has.
Yeah.
So
I
And then
guess
the
I was-
down, And the downspouts, we could always put last cleaned, and that's the maintenance on that. So something like that, you don't need to know the age of it because
Right.
it's been attached to the building.
Right, but if in evaluating the gutters and downspouts, we find, I mean, sometimes given the conditions near the building, the aluminum will start to pit. And, you know, if we see pitting, then that's going to suggest that maybe it doesn't have a lot longer life.
Okay, I guess for ease of understanding, I guess maybe I can just work on getting the age of the different things that I know of. Like we have a new water heater at the school we got 3 years ago, which is in great contrast to, you know, the 30-year-old boiler.
Right.
But does that information really matter to you guys? I guess is what I'm asking. And I guess you're saying no, because you're identifying the condition, so the actual age isn't as important to have available in this document.
Seems like
Well,
that just might vary by
With some
component.
things, I mean,
Okay,
Yeah, I had made a similar note where you had said remaining life of adding approximate age, but it seems like that's going to be relevant to some things and not to others. And also something that was mentioned earlier, if I'm just assuming things at the town level move slow, so like we might think 5 years is far into the future, but maybe I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like how do we communicate this in a helpful way so people can take action in the system that now exists, you know, for how these approvals and funding processes work that I'm not familiar with.
yeah. Yeah. And as you know, the roof has been discussed for over 10 years. So yes, we are slow. But we could improve with assistance, I think. But you're right,
maybe
5 years in government years is like 1 year in normal business.
So I wonder if maybe if the feedback that's helpful from us is really working on our best attempt at remaining life, and then that's kind of where our feedback ends and people interpret that as needed from their side.
Okay,
well, here's a suggestion. One of the things I don't like about where I positioned remaining life on the sheet is that it's at the far right. And part of my idea is somebody can just look down kind of the left column and just read the rating numbers. And once they understand and know the rating terms, they can say, oh, a 3, you know, that needs to be replaced soon. And then let's look at the comments, or 1, we need to get on this, or 2, you know, we need to get on this. So if we want to put estimated remaining life, maybe that goes either just before material or, you know, after material. So it's a little closer to the left.
okay.
Seems like an easy change.
Mhm.
This whole thing would be really compatible in Excel or in some kind of spreadsheet that then anybody could kind of get into and add and modify if we ever were split up into groups.
Mhm.
Do it as a shared Google sheet. Something like that.
I would depend on somebody to set that up.
I'm
That's part of the reason why I do it by hand. I'm still not that facile with spreadsheets. Or
I'm
somebody
actually good at it.
Pardon?
I'm actually very good at it.
Well, okay.
Again,
So then just, you know, continuing through that sheet, you can see how after the component, well, for instance, if you go to 1.4, where I have soffit fascias, and then I did a 2, which means major repair replacement needed. And then you go over to comments and I have 1.4 listed twice. So you always know that that is linked into the soffit and fascia. And, you know, maybe there's 3 comments and then sometimes maybe there are none. But the beauty is those can just be added as often as necessary, as long as you know what it's tying back to. So that's the idea there.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I think, Steve, I think if we get this set up in an Excel spreadsheet, then I think you're gonna pick, I mean, even if you're not familiar with them, you'll get it real fast.
I mean, being able to use it
Yeah,
sounds good. I mean, or if Frank had time at some point, maybe he could give me a tutorial.
It's a very easy thing.
Okay.
It's
So
much
Anna,
easier,
good.
much easier than it was when they had Excel in the beginning. So I used to use Lotus too before that. So
we're all dating ourselves.
yeah, I know.
So Anna, you said you had a bunch of comments?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to start on page 1, the blank one of the roofing?
Yeah.
I think we would want, for roofing specifically, we would want maybe the roofing type to be listed more than once, because some buildings might have more than one type of roofing on it. And I think we might want to consider that multiple times throughout this, of where there's likely to be duplicates, like if there's 2 boilers in a building or whatnot. Which again, if we're in Excel is really easy, we can just add lines.
Yep.
Gutters and downspouts, do we care about noting if downspouts terminate at grades versus go into leader lines versus like where do they actually drain to? Like, do we care about trying to figure out where all that water is going so that somebody's monitoring that or knows to correct it if it's clogged?
Well, you know, in my opinion, I think that's a good idea. And so I guess is your question, should we have under gutters and downspouts, underground leaders?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if like drainage point can be identified.
Mhm.
I was mostly looking at this, trying to think of like what kind of problems come up that people complain about. So can we reverse that and look for those areas before they become problems?
That's a really good thing, Anna, because on the south side, I believe, of the elementary school, because they terminated down into the ground and they got clogged and then the gutters overflow, that's where all the fascia board is rotting.
Hmm.
That's the reason. And where some of the other ones go out to where they shouldn't be in the front. And that's why they have to be constantly in the winter have to be
Okay.
salted. So there's little things like that and how to
Yeah.
put the water, but that's a very good comment, specifically with the elementary school.
And town hall will need it too.
Yep. The dam house will not.
Right. So simple option is to, just alter the numbering system. So 1.4 would become the underground leaders. And it would have a rating line and material and, and then everything else would just add a number.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna be setting this up, Frank, I guess all you need to know is that after gutters, downspouts, you're gonna have underground leaders.
Yep.
Anything else on roofing, Anna?
Do we want to note if we're what our ability to thoroughly inspect a roof is, like whether we were able to get up on the roof or whether we're viewing it from the ground? Like, do we want to qualify our assessment of buildings, of roofs on buildings? I'm just curious, like if there, I can't think of an example, but there's a roof we can't get to or a flat section that we can't view from the ground or something like.
Well, one possibility is that that's a comment
Sure. Okay.
under that particular roof.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I know the library has a slate roof. We're not going to climb on the slate roof.
Mhm.
That's always a binocular or ladder at the
Sure.
gutter line.
Get a drone.
So, pardon?
Get a drone.
Well, I will just say that in Baltimore, there are a lot of slate roofs, and all I ever used were binoculars and getting up close when I could. And in my opinion, you don't need a drone for that.
Okay.
But we could.
All right.
We'll ask Becky to put it in the budget.
Okay.
You're on for building committee. That might be a capital request.
Okay.
And did we want to note any evidence of ice dams, or do we think that would just come up in one of these other already listed categories?
Well, I think if we saw a area, actually, there's an area on the back of town hall that Becky was talking to me where they had leakage into the elevator shaft. And from the ground, I was saying, well, that's where I think it would have occurred. And, you know, what I saw was that looked like a potential area for ice damming. So I think, again, that's something that we can note. I mean, we can, you know, the other thing we could do is at the base of each sheet, we could have another just blank number. So if at a particular building, there was something particular that we didn't see on any of the other buildings we wanted to add, we could drop it in.
I think you're gonna see ice damming on more than one building. Steve, it's been a while since the highway department lost its chimney with a sheet of ice, huh?
Yeah, Jamrog somewhat stabilized it, but it's still every so often does get bonked.
Okay. It used to be a couple times a year.
Jeez.
Oh,
Any other comments on the roofing sheet?
Nope.
Okay, the next sheet, the exterior.
What are you getting at with walls? Are we trying to identify like the framing assembly or the cladding material?
Cladding,
Cladding, okay.
you know, and similarly to, you know, your comment about roofing and types. I mean, there are 4 sides minimally to a building, and we might find variation from side to side, in condition of material, but that would be, so if the material on the whole building is the same, you list it once. But again, you could list different materials, and then on your comments, say north side, you know, shows normal wear and tear, south side, heavy paint peel, some cracked siding components, you know, and this needs, and that would be, you know, so your comments would get very specific, but we start with the generality of walls. Yes.
Stephen, I know it's a little bit late, but I'm realizing Jeff couldn't print them. So would it be okay if I shared the screen and put the document up while we talk?
It's fine with me, yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Did it go?
Lovely. Much better.
Do we need to do the attendance for Jeff?
No, we didn't vote on anything during that time, so I don't
Okay.
think.
On porch, the codes on like decks and porches have gotten stricter and stricter over the years, and those are where we get those like catastrophic failures. Is this something we want, like a more thorough, I don't know, statement of conditions, like joist size and spacing and cantilevers and how it, like how the ledger is attached and is it flash? Like, I wonder if like, to me, porches and decks are a place like to spend maybe more energy on.
To my knowledge, the only porch or deck is the ramp to the library. Everything else is concrete.
Oh, okay.
I'm just thinking out
Yeah.
loud. I think that's the,
Yeah.
for me, that's the only one that has wood on it, because the town hall steps right in from both directions of the front and the back. So the ground level at the highway department, fire department. The school, I do not think has any decking. It's all ground level too.
Okay.
I agree with
is-
you on what's, you read about it all the time.
There is I'll call it the ceremonial front entry to the library, which is old wood porch.
I think it's just, yeah, that maybe be true. That's a fire escape. There's a fire escape too, an egress.
Yeah, and the front porch is, it gets, boards replaced, it just had boards replaced again this summer. It could use some loving.
After Grace's window, though.
Don't forget the town hall annex.
Is there a porch?
On the library side, there's the door
That's,
that
yeah.
leads out.
Oh,
What's the town hall annex?
It's across from the church next to the post office. It's like
Okay.
right on the driveway of the post office. It's the old town hall
Okay.
that is used for record storage.
right.
And
It-
animal holding.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's a scary place.
Yeah, there are a large number of varmints in there.
Okay.
But they are,
I'm the animal removal person at this company, so I can step in if need be. I think my rabies vaccine is still good.
oh, good. Yeah, so it's, I guess we need to include that as one of our buildings for sure. That's the one that the CPC project has not begun on.
That's a good question. Are you guys familiar with Uniformat 2 at all? So it's a listing that kind of creates these categories like you have over here: walls, trims, windows, doors. And there's a level 1, which is the major groups, and it gets all the way down to level 4, which is kind of what you've got here. It's an ASTM guide. I got this by talking to some people at the university. They use it in their facilities management system. And you may want to Google that at some time, because they break it down into a lot of different categories, and it's as opposed to just 2.1 and 2.2. But it also may give you some other, I guess, items you may want to put on it. And then a lot of firms then would use the ASTM Uniformat 2 system to then generate cost estimating. So I'm fine with the way we're going here, but you may want to look at Uniformat for some other
How do you spell that?
categories.
How do you spell that?
UNIFORMAT,
Okay, that's what I got.
space and then Roman numeral 2.
Okay. I'll look at it.
How long has that been around? Do you know?
Hmm?
How long has that been around, Jeff? You know,
Well, Uniformat 1 was around for a long, long time, but then Uniformat 2, I think, was revised like 10 years ago.
Hmm.
It's an ASTM system.
a nomenclature I haven't heard in about 10 years. So,
ASTM.
well, I've been out of the building materials business that long.
Oh. But it's just a way to, as a check, it gets even into
Oh,
electrical lighting, and so just creates more
yeah.
categories that we may want to track.
Uniformat 1 started in 1972 and Unit 2 came in 1993 on that page, front page for that. Interesting. Awesome.
So it's kind of interesting. You may want to take a look at it and help as we put this document together.
No, I agree with you, because going forward, if we write something up for bid, we at least have something, a standard method of doing it so that the bids follow those rules.
Right.
think that's a good point. Should we move through what is left of this?
Mhm.
Any other comments on this sheet?
At the bottom of like all the exterior stuff, do we want landscaping? Either in terms of like just plants and beautification and whatnot, but also trees, like anything that might be overhanging a roof or roots growing into sidewalks. So
I think that's yeah.
I'm not an arborist, but if something looks sickly
Yeah.
or
Yep,
that kind of thing.
I think it's a good idea.
Sounds like the trees might grow at the same rate that the repair budgets happen, if I understood the earlier.
Maybe that could just be planting or
Sure,
trees,
yeah,
trees
yeah.
slash planting,
Yeah.
3.9. Okay. You want to put up the next sheet,
Yes,
please?
and is that interior?
4.1. The heating sheet.
Oh, shoot, basement. Where's the heating?
Probably page 3, I think.
Yep. I just had to spin them around.
Right.
There we go.
Now, well, I don't have it listed, say under heating 4.1 and unit. So if it's a hot water boiler, I would see identifying the manufacturer, the BTU input or output or both, what we think the age is. We'll assume it's a cast iron boiler unless it's really old, and it could be a steel boiler. Or if it's a high efficiency boiler, all that can be put down. And then if it's a furnace, same thing. And
But
then,
this would be the main building system. Now, would we break this thing down to each room of a building and talk about the heating unit in a room?
are you talking about like a radiator?
Yeah, let's say we go to the town hall where they've got a Heinz 57 of heating stuff.
Well, then I guess we'd fill out one of these sheets for each room in the building. If there's a separate heating unit for each room, then you just fill out one of these for each room.
Okay,
And if one room has 3 different types, we can write that all on this sheet, right?
Yeah. so it'd be 4.11, 4.112,
3.
4.113.
Yeah, I guess it'll work.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on heating, cooling?
Do we have any ERVs or HRVs in any town buildings? Or other kind of ventilation?
Yes, in town hall, we do. And in the library, we do. They just they came in during COVID. And there's, and that's another big question. The old building committee talked about a whole new ventilation system at the elementary school. But I think it's so, my understanding, the ventilation system is kind of interdependent with what kind of heating and cooling system you have. And you have to make sure all three work together. Am I totally off base there or?
No, you're correct. That's why I'm hoping that new control system we're putting in there is talking to all these things.
Yes, me too.
Or be able to talk to, because I think the old system, and I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, Jeff, is, the standard nowadays for school for clean air is a 6-to-1 ratio, and I think the one we have there is still 3. So I don't know if we have to upgrade the system to, even though we'll be talking to it, we'll have to upgrade to it. I think that's what the problem was.
Okay.
Not knowing the exact number of ratios, but how many times the air circulates in a minute or an
Air
hour.
changes per hour.
Yeah, whatever the change per hour. I think we're half of what the standard is now, what I remember. I'd have to look at some old notes or something.
Yeah, and I think what they were doing, they were like forcing everything open to get more air circulating in there and wasting a huge amount of fuel.
Mhm.
Sure. Because you got to heat and cool all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we could either at the end of heating or at the end of cooling, add, you can call it ventilation / HRV.
Okay. And that would potentially be 6.1.
Well, see that if you go to 6, then you're on the next page. I mean, we could change all the numbers with everything else, or we could just keep it as a 4.8 or a 5.6.
Because most likely the 4.8 will be connected to the boiler system at the elementary school, where some other places won't have a 4.8 because they have window. There'll be a comment in the window. It'll be a window insert air conditioner or a mini split or something like that. It'll be in the definition of the room.
Anybody have a thought as where to put the HRV?
I think it should be a separate, because it's different than ventilation.
Well, another possibility would be under the last page, which is other considerations, which is, we could have the HRV. There I have, when we get to it, you'll see I have wood destroying insects, apparent asbestos, apparent mold.
Steve, I know you don't want to add a 6 here because it's on the next sheet, but I think if we transfer over to Excel, it'll be easily done.
Okay,
Yeah. It's just
Numbers
consecutive. It just automatically, you just add that, you just insert the spaces and all the numbers will jump up when you add it. So it's very
Sounds
easily
good.
fixed. And the HRV works specifically with the heating and cooling in the system.
sounds good. So I guess that would be 6 would be ventilation. And then HRV. That has its own ducting. So we'd have the unit, and then we'd have ducting.
Louvers.
Filters, should we have filters in there? For the HRV?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I think, Frank, you said louvers.
Yep.
Are any of the town buildings sprinklered?
No,
So we don't need to put that on the list.
I guess not.
Okay.
Just to go back just for a sec, so for ventilation, HR-HRV, then we have unit, ducting, louvers, filters. Anything else?
No, I think that's a good start.
Okay,
So the controls we are assuming would be from the heating system? So we wouldn't have independent controllers or,
No, I would have controls as a separate group.
similar to cooling and heating? Or after filters? Jeff,
I would have heating, cooling, and then I would have controls as a separate category.
okay.
do we want controls before ventilation?
I don't think it matters. My personal opinion is I like ventilation first,
Okay.
since I understand controls the least.
All I know about controls is we needed to replace them 15 years ago, and when you don't replace them, things don't work very well.
So controls, are we talking thermostats?
Yep,
Anything else?
actuators,
I don't know the type of heat in the elementary school. Is that hot water?
Yes,
So do you have zone valves?
yes.
But we won't really be able to, unless we activate the thermostat for that particular zone and wait. I mean, we could do it, but you'd have to independently try each thermostat to see that the zone valve is responding properly.
You can probably do that on the computer once it's all completed
Okay,
within a week or, I think that's,
I think that this is good to have as a listing thing, but this is something that they're all working on right now. And once we figure out what all the new stuff is, someone can explain it to all of us. So that we can put it in writing for capital planning in the future, but it's not, I think it's something we're gonna learn specifically with the elementary school, because it's gonna be a whole new system.
I agree.
so we're
and I
gonna,
have a 300-page document if anybody's really curious about it,
Nope,
of what's being installed.
so under controls, we got thermostats, you said actuators.
so I would just, now just, let's just controls and thermostats.
Yeah,
As we get smarter, we'll figure out what else to put in.
Yeah, okay.
Besides, I wouldn't know how to make an actuator actuate anyways.
All I know is we're supposed to be able to look at our cell phones and see how the heat, see how the heat system is working now. So it'll be interesting.
Okay, so should we move to the next sheet?
Yes, please.
And the next one is I'm sorry,
Number 4, that's plumbing and electric.
oops. Sorry, it's it's upside down. Here we go.
While you pull it up, do we want to add the plumbing fixtures themselves, like bathroom or kitchen fixtures? Do we need to be checking, quality and performance of those? You have
well,
fixtures on there. Sorry,
Fix-
I can't read. My bad. Sorry, never mind.
So ventilation, the HRV, that's going to be 6.1. Controls will be 7.1. So now that would make plumbing 8 and electric 9, unless we change.
Yep.
Hello,
Town clerk's office.
it's closed. She's here on,
That's
I didn't know I can mute somebody else. All right, that worked. And do we, in thinking about bathroom fixtures, should we be looking at ADA stuff, like whether we have accessible height sinks or proper grab bars? Is that part of what we want to be looking at in the committee, or is that somebody else's deal?
Good question. I wonder if Becky can shed some light on.
Okay.
I assume the school is up to date.
Yeah, with COVID, they changed the 2 water fountains, so I think that both of those, there's one in each hallway, and I think those are good now, because they're hydration stations instead of the old water fountain.
The bubbler.
Right.
Yeah, the bubbler.
Anna, do you want to, now that Becky's back, ask her about the ADA?
Oh, yeah, Becky, if we're looking at bathroom fixtures, do we want to be looking for ADA requirements like accessibility, grab bars, heights of the toilet paper dispenser, all that stuff? Okay.
yes, we do need all of that.
So is that in general really something we want to look at, like entries and door
Yep.
openings and,
Hmm.
yeah.
That could get big fast. Yeah.
Yep. We look at it when we replace carpets. We have some wool carpets in town hall.
I'm sorry, you said you have what?
Some wool carpets in town hall because of ADA issues.
Can you explain?
The
why wool?
natural fiber is a lot of, we have a number of chemically sensitive residents in town. So we work to get, it's dependent on cost, so there's a threshold, but we try not to put in straight commercial off-gassing carpets, and when we can.
Okay,
Sometimes it's cost prohibitive, but that's part of ADA.
Didn't know that.
For the town, it is.
Yeah. Great.
So under fixtures. And again, we're gonna do a separate sheet for each room, correct? So would we have then in a classroom, I would assume there's gonna be a sink. Would there be a sheet for the classroom? And we would identify the fixture in there? Is that what you're thinking?
well, I haven't been in the school yet, but except for the school, I assume the buildings don't have numerous repetitions of items. But with that question, I mean, we could just, if there are a lot of, say, sinks and toilets in the school, you could just have a sheet that's fixtures. And then you could identify the location and then the toilet, sink, whatever, and just keep on going. And whatever we find. And I'll ask a question because I haven't used spreadsheet, but if you have this on a spreadsheet, can we use the spreadsheet on, say, an iPad as we do the inspection, can we bring up fixture and just keep adding information
Yes,
for each one?
yes.
Okay.
And what is conditioning equipment? I just came from the gym. Is that what we're talking about?
What'd you say?
I just came from the gym. Is that what conditioning equipment?
That's, no, if I'm a newer resident to Shutesbury, but in the Maryland area, if you have a well, it's not uncommon for it to be acidic.
Okay.
Or it might have other issues, and then you put in your Culligan system or some other system to
Okay,
neutralize or make it drinkable. So,
okay, so it's water quality.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Any other thoughts on those two, plumbing or electric?
Yeah, I'd if you on electric, if we
Uh-huh.
want on the panel, if we want to note how much capacity is remaining on the panel, or if it's already at overcapacity, and if the panel itself is built in or blocked either by like built in with cabinetry or blocked by furniture or storage in front of it.
Well,
No.
I forget, but there's a way to, I forget how, there's a method to calculate the capacity remaining. I mean, it's not just,
Oh, I don't know how to do that. I was just looking at like, are there blank slots or are there minis where there aren't supposed to be, just like comparing to the chart, but anything beyond that above my
Yeah.
pay
Yeah, I
grade.
thought we were, I thought we would be talking more about spare blanks.
Mm.
I'm not
Mhm.
gonna figure out if it's 200 amps, 700 amp, or any of that. I'm not,
some of that,
Yeah.
sometimes we can certainly identify the, in the school, it's probably going to be beyond what I typically look at, but in the smaller buildings, I can probably identify the service size, and then we can look at the panel, see if it's compatible to the service. And
so this is electric distribution, right? Because I notice you don't have lighting here,
no,
so this is distribution.
Mhm.
I mean, as I would do a regular home inspection, I would look at those components, but they were never listed separately. I mean, that sort of generally fell under, well, it didn't fall under any of those. But I would
I guess-
often make comments.
I guess my thought is if like we're identifying like a upgrade to a heating system or something that might have a different electrical draw in the future, then we'd want to know if the decision to replace item A triggers,
Mhm.
B electrical work, we would have a little bit of data on that.
We'd have to find we could probably track down how to calculate the remaining capacity in a panel box. Because you can't, like if you add up the breakers, the amperage of the breakers, it's always way over what the capacity is because you don't figure it that way.
Mhm.
And I don't remember how to do that, but I don't think it's hard to. So we could, if we want to educate ourselves, figure out how to do that.
I think one thing that's important is almost all the buildings have generators except for the little library. Just being, that if you were making those kind of calculations, you could double check and be sure that the generator, identify the size of the generator so you know whether it can handle the heat or not, or whatever.
Ooh, the highway department doesn't have a generator.
You have an old one. That's
It's
really small.
portable. They have to pull out and plug in and only runs about a third of the shop.
All right, Steve, it sounds like something to work on. Because you guys were the last ones to have power restored in the ice storm,
Oh, geez.
and they
That's
work
it.
24-hour days.
It's kind of funny too, because we have the fuel pumps that everyone else needs.
Oh, that's right.
So under electrical, size. What would be in the material column?
Um,
I'm a little confused here.
well, if we,
Are we talking material? Are we talking condition? Or are we talking?
well, the wiring can be copper, can be aluminum or copper clad aluminum. So that would be wiring. I think, for the service, the size of the service, I don't think really there's a material comment there. The electrical panel, other than saying that it's circuit breaker or fuse, I assume there are no more fuse panels in any of the buildings.
But nowhere at the top do we really have condition of stuff.
I'm sorry?
Right. At the top categories, we never talk, where do we talk about the condition of,
Well, did
Of
you
all
say
these.
condition?
instead of should we have another column after material as condition and then comments?
Is the word you're saying condition?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so-
don't think Jeff
on the-
saw the first sheet
Yeah,
where the rating terms and the 4 categories are.
see the little space at the left of water lines? There's a line,
yeah, right.
all those, so there are 4 options. One, if you put 1 there, it means that there's maintenance or minor repair needed.
Got
If
it.
you put 2, it's major repair or replacement needed.
Got it.
3 is budget to replace within 5 years, and then there's not applicable. So
Okay.
if, for instance, we didn't have any concerns about the size of the electrical service, we wouldn't put anything in there.
Okay, got it.
Everything's okay, there's no comment in that
Okay.
meeting area.
Okay. Again, then, under electric, are we doing lighting or is lighting gonna be a separate group?
Well, we can certainly add, lighting and you could add outlets.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing if we want to assess if there's adequate power given the current use of buildings, like if there's enough outlets or if people have a billion power strips, if that's something our group should be looking at.
My initial thought is that could be very complicated.
Yeah.
Um, My suggestion would be that we start with the initial analysis of the buildings and then see, I'm not sure how much, I mean, because we aren't really going to know. I mean, a power strip doesn't tell us how much is being used.
Just more of a safety issue of,
Well, that might be more distribution of receptacles, through a space.
That really gets into functional use of a space. And that's not really what we're doing right now, is it?
No.
Because the space could be used differently by a different group and it would be fine.
I think that's a good point, that right now we're trying to determine condition as much. And if we do all that, then maybe we move into other.
The lighting issue, National Grid the rep did go through all of the buildings and gave us a listing. The issue for them is upgrading to LEDs. A number of the buildings have upgraded to LEDs, the smaller buildings, but the school has not. So almost half the Green Communities grant is for upgrading to LEDs in the school with fixtures and lights. But we don't know if that grant's going to be competitive enough to win. But we have a full report on all the lighting in the buildings, pretty much. how we utilize it. I mean, so we have a resource if there's a reason to look at the lighting. You know, if the goal was upgrade
So,
some of that unknown lighting.
so
system.
should lighting be under electric or should lighting be a separate category all by itself? I'm thinking for now, let's put it under electric. If we find a reason to break it out, we'll break it out.
Should we add checking the condition of the meter to this?
That's a great idea.
How do you do that?
I don't know. Look at it.
Okay, dirty or clean?
The meter
They're just
belongs
very
to
hard-
the utility.
Yeah. Sorry.
The meter belongs to the utility company.
They are, but they're hard to come by right now, which hopefully will change. But if we,
Really?
I know someone who bought one on Amazon Marketplace because that was the last thing they needed to finish their house.
I
Yeah,
have
the
an old
utility-
one in the basement.
Oh, you should sell it. You know?
And the utility company was okay with that?
I didn't ask any follow-up questions.
That was smart.
It wasn't one of my jobs.
Okay,
But even if it's not our responsibility or the town's responsibility to pay for it, if we need to put in a request for it to be replaced, it seemed like that would probably come from the town as opposed to the power company proactively looking at that.
I
Yeah,
don't,
but I
I don't know enough about meters to know what to ask for. Do you?
well, I know
You
they
know
have
what?
the old kind and they have electronic ones now.
That's- That's about as far as I can go.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I admittedly don't know how to assess him either. Maybe if it's like bad enough that we all look at it funny, that's enough to, or at least maybe enough to like bounce it to an electrician or somebody else who could weigh in.
Yeah.
Do we,
So,
oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead, Anna. I'm sorry.
It was just one, going back to heating, do we want either in heating or a separate category to talk about fuel, like propane tanks or oil tanks?
I have tank listed.
Do, okay, I missed that, sorry.
That was 4.3.
Oh, yeah, okay,
So we're adding lighting to electric?
mhm,
Okay,
for now.
Another issue, I don't know if you want to include it here, but we have, the town hall and fire department have solar panels and the solar inverters and separate meters that all go with them. I don't know if we want to include that here. It is an issue that is related to the building and potentially at some point we'll need, well, I know I've already run into maintenance issues, but just had a volunteer stop by to address them at town hall where the wires have come bare. They're gonna redo the conduit. But I don't know what you guys think about adding the solar that goes with each building to each building.
my thoughts are, I have no experience with solar equipment and the inverters and the other components related to how the electric that's generated is going either to the utility or the building. I mean, I could look at wires, you know, that are part of the system, but that would be really about it. And I don't know if anyone else on the committee feels they have a knowledge base to look at that, but I suspect that we don't.
And all the solar that we haven't hooked up is reducing, you know, it's applied individually to the buildings. And the fire department is shared between the fire department, highway, and the town hall. Because it had more than the building.
Go over that statement again, please.
So what we generate at the fire station is above what the fire station always needs. Well, it
Yes.
was pre-heat pumps. I think we're using more of it now, but when we weren't, the overage was being applied to the highway department or the town hall.
Applied in terms of your bill or applied in terms of actually sending a little electrons over there?
In the billing,
Okay, all right,
yeah, billing only.
okay.
A question I have is the new internet shed out back. Where does that generate its electricity from?
The town hall.
Okay. Is that another building that we have to look at maintenance?
They have it pretty well covered. Well, I guess we do.
Okay, I'm just
They have
thinking
it
out,
on-
you brought it up, so I'm thinking out loud about all the solar panels. I remember that building's right next to the solar panels.
Right, right.
So, okay.
I have a contract for all the generators maintenance, and it's included in that
Okay.
with the rest of the town buildings. But for the most part, the MLP maintains that building pretty carefully. And
But should the exterior be under the buildings committee? The condition of the building?
yeah, if it starts to
Should we
need
add
more-
it to our list, right after the dam building?
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you have the Hearst house on there too?
Well,
And
that's
the
an-
old school?
Yeah, the Hearst house is important. I'm gonna need it in a year or two.
That's at the cemetery. Come on, Jeff.
So back to solar, let's put that under electric. Just as a, identify that the building has solar, and I think the most we're gonna be able to do is say
Solar
collectors
assist.
and approximately kilowatt hours.
Yep.
We're not gonna be able to identify a whole lot more than that.
But I mean, just having it there, the category could grow. I mean, it could be useful if we're
Yeah.
talking about fuel sources and what types of heating and cooling to use.
Yep.
I just realized under electric, the first one, 9.1, what will be, where it has size, that ought to be size/service cable. The service cable coming into the building, which is usually running down the outside.
Service what, Steve?
Cable,
Okay.
any other comments for plumbing or electric?
No.
You want to try the next sheet, Becky?
There. Is it interiors?
It's basement and crawl space.
Whoops. You got to enjoy being upside down.
So this is now going to be 10.1 all the way through for basement and crawl space and 11.1 for attic.
For basements and crawls, do we want to add any visible insulation?
Good idea.
Evidence. Yeah. Evidence of animals or evidence of water or moisture issues?
Good idea.
Suppose we should check for animals in the attic as well.
Mm-hmm. Squirrels.
Bats.
We have bats in the town hall attic.
So
They-
for basement, we need ventilation.
Mm.
Up there? In the attic, you mean, Jeff?
No, basement.
Oh, we need that.
Basement crawl space. We have that ventilation in the attic, but we should be ventilating our crawl spaces.
We do have airflow through the main back area. Because we have our commercial dehumidifier back there, and then we opened up air pathways on either end to circulate the air. The only place is in the pump in the well room, and the very smallest area. I don't think that has ventilation, but everywhere, I think everywhere else in the crawl or in the basement area has it.
Are you talking about the town hall?
Yes. There's at the northern end, there's an area that houses the inverters, the electronics, the panels, as well as storage for the town clerk, annual town meetings, and police and library, Lego land, and so it's kind of jam-packed because we do not have sufficient storage.
How about under attic? Do we need to talk about access?
Mm.
And for this basement crawl space access? How do you get there?
It's great.
At town hall, they built, the building committee built a 3-foot square box that you have to climb over to get to a catwalk that goes the length of the attic.
Mhm.
I think Nancy Matthews did a lot of work on that.
I apologize. I have to go in about 5 minutes.
So we're adding access to both basement crawl space and attic.
We have quite a bit of mold issues in the basement of Old Town Hall. Should that be on the list?
Well, under considerations on the next page, that's where I have wood destroying insects, apparent asbestos, apparent mold. And then, any place you find that can be identified.
You bring up page 6, Becky?
Yes.
Do we want to add lead below asbestos mold, or do we just assume everything in town is old enough to have lead paint?
That lead. I think we ought to put lead in here.
Mhm.
Under interior, we don't have ceilings. What's 10.7? What's that say, door?
Yep.
Doors?
Okay, door, okay,
Add ceilings?
sure.
Good.
Yeah. Should we be noting the condition of paint? Like, is painting a regular maintenance item, or is that?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is. It's a
okay.
big one.
Okay. And then what
I would
about,
think-
oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I would think that say if the walls, the paint was peeling on the walls or the windows, a lot of times it might be painting, peeling on the windows. I mean, that would be something that we would comment on under windows.
Mhm.
So that way it'd be more specific. You were starting to say, Anna.
Are we getting, should we worry about like fire separation, like things that might have been fine at the time they were built, but current codes want fire rated walls, like between a garage, if that's relevant here, or
Wouldn't it be-
stairwells?
Wouldn't it be grandfathered in?
I don't know. That's why I was just
Yeah.
sort of, same thing with like ADA. Are we like looking for places to update, upgrade, or just maintaining the way they are? And I'm not sure we'd even be able to identify all of these things without doing.
But under,
Yeah.
under other considerations, how about code concerns or code,
Mhm.
Sure.
I don't want to say violations,
No,
Yeah,
issues, code issues or something. And at that point, we can identify what we think those are.
potential code issues.
So under interior, where you have walls, are you trying to talk about the wall construction or are you trying to talk about the wall finish?
I'm not trying to talk about what's behind the finish. It's more any observable defects, issues with the wall that can be seen. I mean, obviously, if there's some kind of more serious structural condition in the building, then there might be significant settlement cracking, or there could just be cosmetic issues. So it allows.
So we don't, you're saying we don't want to identify the wall construction like concrete block versus stud versus steel stud?
Oh, sure, we can do that. I was thinking like, do we want to know if it's a 2x4 or, but yeah, if it's wood frame or block, that can be identified. Mhm.
I have to run. Is there, are we gonna set up another meeting via email, or is it just 2 weeks from now, or do we have a plan with that?
Well, quickly, 2 weeks, is everyone on board for a meeting in 2 weeks?
Sure.
And Anna, are you,
Mhm.
is 5:30 okay for you normally, or was?
It is, yeah, I'm on a thing with Smith Vokes Carpentry Department, and it's 4 times a year, and tonight's one of the 4.
Okay, so is everybody okay with 5:30 next, 2 weeks from now?
Sure.
And I just need to apologize. The select board had to change their regular Tuesday to Wednesday on the 26th. So I can't be there, but I think you guys know what you're working on. So
All right, thanks, everybody. Sorry, I gotta run.
thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Bye.
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 So is there a chance by next meeting, we would have this in the electronic format?
I'll do my best.
Okay,
It should go quickly, I think. Once the
I can
first
help
page,
you
once the
with-
first page is set up there, all the others are like, that be the same as just typing.
right.
And Frank, I
you're-
can help too if you need.
Okay.
And you're gonna do it in Excel,
I was gonna do it in Google Sheets.
Google Docs?
Yeah, Google Docs, which is Google Sheets, just because that can become shareable and we can all play with it.
Okay,
We don't have to worry.
well,
about
I don't know if
Excel.
we all should be able to shoot.
Well, that's. But it shows when you deleted something, so the history, so yeah, we'll figure all that out.
Okay,
Any other thoughts for either interior or other considerations? Actually, I just thought of something in electric. I wonder if we should have a separate listing for smoke detectors.
Yes,
Yes.
And what are the other detectors now? Carbon
carbon
dioxide?
monoxide and heat.
So a detector section.
Yeah. Smoke, heat, CO.
Don't go into heat because we don't know where heat versus smoke are supposed to be.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, when we review this next meeting, we can fine tune it, but I think we're off to a good start.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so third item on the agenda, discussion of the Gale Associates proposal for the evaluation of the roof system.
The only thing, I looked over the proposal, I was fine with it, and then I called Chris Musso. Because I wanted to make sure Chris and Gail were gonna, I'm concerned about moisture in the attic. And lack of separation from the spaces, and I asked Chris if they're gonna look into that, and the answer was yes. Now, to what degree, we won't know till they actually look at it, but I wanted to make sure they at least were gonna take a gander at the issue. They would do that.
And the other thing that came in this week is the air quality report that might help with that. I'll forward
Mhm.
that to them.
Okay,
And the comment, yeah, and the comments made under the building envelope, like you already said. I'll forward that to everyone.
but I was okay with the proposal.
Being a new, to valuation of a large building, when I looked at the cost, I was like, my God, that much to evaluate the roof, but you have, I assume, much more experience with that, Jeff. What'd you think of the cost?
I thought it was low.
Oh, okay.
Jeff, what do you think that, because that's the initial evaluation, and then we're hoping to contract, if not with them, potentially with them to do the full design. That initial evaluation will really help offset a little bit of the cost on the design, or do you think we can still come in at 60,000 for the design?
Oh, I can't answer that question because
I'm
we get
sorry.
more information on what we got there. But you're right, I think if their knowledge from the study phase will help them with the design phase. And I would expect their fee would be a little bit less. How's that for a non-answer?
Mhm.
Very comforting,
Yeah,
but it gives us a solid start, and if we are, yeah, and we can go out to bid on if their costs come in very, above the 60,000.
again, my concern is, again, we don't want to skip the study and solve the wrong problem.
Right.
And we got Gail here to help us define what is the real problem and what are possible solutions to it. I think the last thing I would want to do right now is just put a new roof on it.
Yeah.
What does everybody think about us? We talked about this in the first meeting of going to the school and going in the attic, going on the roof. but we decided to put that off until we developed our reporting format. And I don't know how quickly Gail would do their investigation, but I guess in my mind, it would seem like a good idea for us to have some sense from our own perspective of what's going on, so that when they come up with their report, we might be better equipped to ask questions or understand what they're saying is the issue.
I'd be up for an attic walk.
I don't know if we need the attic walk. Well, we could do the attic walk at the same time they're doing the attic walk,
That'd be a good idea.
as opposed to, now it means that some of us old people who are around during the day, when they come, have to be available to go on the walk with them. Fine with me,
It'd be a great
Yeah.
idea, Jeff.
because
I
we
think
can't
that'd
ask them to just do a walk when everybody's done with work at 6 o'clock at night.
Right.
You know, that's not what their fee proposal has. But I'm willing to do the walk the walk with them.
Sounds good.
Willing to do that.
be-
I'm
I
hoping we can-
usually go because I have all the keys.
And I'm hoping we can do the roof walk before the ice lands on the roof.
I have ice cleats. I put on every year.
Those will be good on the roof.
So I'm going to request a vote on approving the Gale
Proposal.
evaluation.
I motion that we accept the Gale proposal.
I second. Do we have to vote alphabetically?
Yeah, we have to, now that the chair says, the motion.
But I need to make a motion that we accept the proposal. Is that what you're asking?
No, you just have to say all those in favor.
All those in
All
favor?
those in favor? Galmus, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Quackenbush, aye.
Sullivan, I.
That's a vote.
Aye, aye, aye.
Aye. Anyway, good.
Two
And I-
thumbs up from the school committee, woohoo!
All right, and
Okay,
What?
I
One
have
thing I'd
another
like,
committee that waiting to use this Zoom account, so.
okay, I want to mention one thing that I want on next week's agenda. Because Anna pointed out that trees grow faster here than things that happen at the town of Shutesbury, and I was under the other impression. I think we should seriously look at painting the elementary school. I was on the side that said, wait till the roof is done, but it's gonna be a while away, and that is such a treasure. And it looks like crap right now, and if we paint it now and the new roof comes in a year or so, we can do touch up or do something after the fact. It might be a little more money, but I think right now it's a very sad looking building. And it's one of the most highest used buildings we have in the town. So I'd be on board, like Steve said last time, getting the thing painted. I think it's something that if we wait for the roof to finally get done, this building is going to look older and older. So something we can talk about next, have that put on the agenda for next week,
discussion
next meeting.
of painting the building,
Yeah.
painting the school.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just so everybody is thinking of the bureaucratic part, we do have to go to town meeting to get the money to paint it. So we can't paint it without the money,
Okay.
but that's part of getting it, start talking about it and getting it on the
And getting
table.
it done and getting yeah. And watch the tree grow.
Yes. From underneath.
so I still have a few minutes. Becky?
They're waiting, whatever, you need to
Well,
finish
okay.
your meeting, so that's
Okay.
fine. Just
All
finish.
right,
your meeting.
well, just very quickly, I was going to add next time I don't know if we'll have a guest, but if the guest shows,
Oh.
at the beginning of the meeting, give them an opportunity to talk for maybe up to 10 minutes. If not, we'll just proceed with the meeting. And that way, if someone introduces something that we're not prepared for, we go on the filing agenda and they would be told that. That's it.
Okay.
So do I hear a motion to end the meeting?
I make a motion.
Okay, I'll second it.
In favor, Dalmas, aye.
Again, I.
Quackenbush, aye.
Sullivan, I.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey,
Thank you for
Becky?
meeting.
See you in 2 weeks.
Hey, Becky,
Yeah,
I called that lady 5 times and never could
Oh,
get
my.
through.
oh my goodness.
I went back on the computer program and I could find nowhere to sign anything.
Okay.
Sorry, Jeff, I muted myself.
Okay.